What's up guys, I'm Mr. Mranjelorion and I am back with another Modsauce video. Only this time, this one is, as you've noticed, not part of this series. Because this is going to be me showing off my setup for Mekanism 5 times ore processing. Now obviously I've got a couple creative things here going because I didn't want to go crazy and make everything, but I'll explain what those creative things, what you need to put in their place if you want to do this in a survival world. So let's start off. Power. You're going to need a lot of power. Every one of these machines over here is using power. I'm generating a lot from this. I don't know how much you're going to actually need in total, but I think it's quite a bit. So the first step that you want to get into for your 5x ore processing is this chemical dissolution chamber. This takes sulfuric acid and the ore of your choice, which goes in this slot here, and it turns it into a dirty slurry, which we can clean up, and it travels down our processing line. So how do we get sulfuric acid? Well, our sulfuric acid is coming from up here in a chemical infuser. It takes sulfur trioxide and water vapor. Water vapor is super easy. Just get an aqueous accumulator. Got it hooked up to... In fact, I can show this a lot better if I grab a Yeta wrench. Alright. So let's make this only show fluid conduits. There we go. So we have water coming up, and it's going into this rotary condensator. Is that where I'm getting it from? Yeah. Water goes in, turns into water vapor. Comes out and goes in there. Water vapor solved. Just water, no power, nothing. Except for to run this rotary condensator. And then sulfur trioxide, I believe I did mislabel that. Sulfur trioxide is coming from another chemical infuser. This one has oxygen and sulfur dioxide. Oxygen also comes from water. Put it in an electrolytic separator. You'll get oxygen and hydrogen, which I'm currently setting to dump. And that's just also being gotten from an aqueous accumulator. And let's select gas conduits. So gas conduits from Ender.io. I'm using mostly Ender.io cabling because you can fit multiple things in one block. The oxygen goes into here. And then we also need the sulfur dioxide, which we're getting from this machine. It just takes sulfur, which I decided blaze rods and a pulverizer gives you blaze powder and a chance at sulfur. So I'm just throwing the blaze powder in the deep storage unit. Sulfur staying in there, and it goes in there. So this is all you need is a blaze farm. So this creative box here, it's blaze rods being supplied. You just need a blaze farm in order to get that step done. So, just for the cost of a blaze farm, some power, and a couple aqueous accumulators, you can get the sulfuric acid, which turns into 1 bucket of slurry. Now, that bucket of slurry comes out with a gas conduit, and it goes into a chemical washer. I have a couple of them here to kind of speed up the process. The chemical washer takes water and that dirty slurry, and it makes it a clean slurry, which comes out through more gas conduits and goes into the chemical crystallizer. It'll fill up over here, and it'll turn into, I believe, a shard. Let me look up shard. Okay, not shard. The recipe of a shard comes from a crystal. It turns into a crystal in the chemical crystallizer. Makes sense. And then I'm pulling that out into an ender chest over to this new area where I was setting things up. So that ender chest plops down here because it needs to go into a chemical injection chamber with some hydrogen chloride, and it'll turn it into this shard, which goes into the next chamber. And I'll go down there after I explain how I'm getting the hydrogen chloride. It's actually pretty simple. Hydrogen chloride comes from a chemical infuser, which takes hydrogen and chlorine. If you know anything about chemistry, that makes a lot of sense. So I have the hydrogen coming on this white gas conduit line all the way from over here, which is just a more compact setup of this. I made this after I made that because I was trying to see how compact I can do this. And now that I've got it all made, I'll try to find a way to compact it into a base. But I just wanted to show you this because I don't think there's a lot of videos with 5x processing out there. So the hydrogen comes from an electrolytic separator, which is how we were getting the oxygen. And that puts the hydrogen, make it follow all the way around here, goes in there. Now how do we get chlorine? Chlorine is gotten in an electrolytic separator. Let's see what it gives us over here. It takes brine and it gives you sodium and chlorine. We're dumping the sodium because sodium actually has 0 use in Mekanism as of now. Maybe it will have a use in the future, not sure. But I just have this automatically dumping the chlorine out into here. Look, chlorine's starting to build up since we've all built up our hydrogen chloride. And the brine. The brine can be gotten a couple ways. I found that this is the easier way because with the mods in this pack, this is a way to get brine totally free from water. Normally you have to make a salination controller, and those things are multi-block and they're a pain, and it confused the absolute hell out of me. So I went with this route, which was a little bit more secret. I have rotary condensators with gaseous brine, and it just takes some power to turn that into regular brine, which is going through these fluid conduits into here, separating out to give me the chlorine. So how do we get the gaseous brine? Well, that's in a chemical oxidizer with Mekanism salt. And I was looking through the recipes for Mekanism salt, and I was like, alright, if I set up a laser drill, I could get the nether salt ore, or set up a quarry. I'll get salt blocks occasionally. Nether salts. And then I looked at this, I was like, Pam's Harvestcraft salt in a pulverizer. Well, I remember playing Agrarian Skies a little bit on my own, and I was like, salt, I'm pretty sure is free. And it is. I just need these cyclic assemblers, and they'll make me exactly what I need. So we're getting the salt with fresh water and a pot. The pot doesn't get used up, so we just put the pot in there, and it takes 1 fresh water to make 2 salt, I believe. And the fresh water is simply a water bucket, and so if we put an aqueous accumulator under this and it puts water in there, it doesn't even need the bucket. It just takes 1,000 millibuckets of water to make 4 fresh waters. It's fantastic. And so now that we got the hydrogen chloride in, we have the chemical injection chamber working, making the shards, and the shards go into the purification chamber with the oxygen, which once again we just get from right here. Our electrolytic separator makes oxygen and hydrogen. Goes into here, and what does it turn into? It turns into a gold clump, which goes into our crusher and turns into a dirty gold dust. And then in the enrichment chamber, it becomes a regular gold dust. Goes into our elite factory, which is set for smelting, and it turns into an ingot. And so I threw in a stack of gold. I got 5 gold ingots out. The great thing is that this works with many ores that previously could not be doubled except for by ways of their own mods, such as cobalt. But this mod can handle cobalt. So I'm going to take you through. We're going to toss in just one to show you. Turns into cobalt slurry. That goes in the chemical washers, and it's being washed into clean slurry. Clean slurry's going in here. Every time it gets 200 clean slurry, it turns into a crystal. Crystal goes in the ender chest. Ender chest is taking the crystal and dropping it into this chemical injection chamber. And I think we missed it, but 5 cobalt. And that's actually pretty quick. Let's go ahead and time that up right now. Let me open up a timer on my phone so I don't have to annoy you guys with my counting. And I want to see exactly how long this takes. Ready, set, go. Alright. So let's fly over here, and let's just wait to see them show up. One of them showed up. 2, 3. It's a little slow, but for 5x, I think that is pretty good. 25 seconds, roughly, to turn 1 cobalt ore into 5 cobalt ingots. So that was a very, very quick walkthrough of how to do 5x mechanism ore processing. I told you what machines you need, what materials are going to be used, but this is made basically from water and a blaze farm. It's all you need to get this going, as long as you got the materials to make all this Ender IO cable, because you will for sure need the gas conduits. This is the only mod that can handle oxygen, hydrogen, sulfur trioxide, all that stuff. Only mod that can handle it. So you're going to have to get into that, but I do recommend using their cable conduits and their water conduits, because you can put all 3 of those in a single block, and that really helps out with the automation and the compactness of it. So I'm going to design a more compact design eventually, and I will make another video when that happens. But until then, I'm going to have to say goodbye, and this will be goodbye for a little bit more than usual, because I am going on a camping trip. I'm not going to be back for 10 days, so we're not going to have videos for at least 2 weeks. But I will be back, I promise, and the Modsauce series will be continued, so I hope you guys have a great day. This is Mr. Mranjelorion saying goodbye. See you guys.